I believe that the Electoral College is DEI for the Republican Party, where Hillary Clinton won the popular vote but lost the presidency because of the Electoral College, because it empowers rural states more by giving them the electoral vote.
This is going to be an interesting discussion, man. This is going to be good.
Try to talk right into the mic, please.
Alrighty. Hey, Charlie. How's your tea? First of all.
My tea?
Yes.
It's good, thank you.
All right. So, first of all, I'd like to ask why you're spending your time debating college students instead of people who have similar media training or experience to you. I mean,
It's already been asked. Are you a voter?
I am.
Yeah. We're talking to voters in the key state of Pennsylvania. Should we not do that?
I mean, I'm fine with you doing that. It just seems a little bit asymmetric. If
Yeah,
you don't
we want to win the election, right? So, do a lot of conservatives come to this campus?
Not really.
Well, that's why we're here. Okay?
All right.
Yes. Disagreements, you can work your way up. Yes. Wow, look at all those disagreements.
Finally,
I know, it takes a while to, takes a couple hours, yeah.
Hello. I have a disagreement with you guys. I believe that the Electoral College is unjust and should be abolished. And
okay,
Mr.
so
Ramaswamy, I believe, since you ran for president, I would like to hear from you first.
Sure. So I think this is a common, I know this is near and dear to Charlie's heart. Okay. Let's start with that. Well, I think that is a great question to ask, Charlie. I like that. Let's start with that so I make sure I'm responding to the question. What is the definition of justice?
Okay, so we talk a lot about like DEI programs and that sort of thing, and people being, unjustly put into these like positions. I believe that the Electoral College is DEI for the Republican Party, where Hillary Clinton won the popular vote but lost the presidency because of the Electoral College, because it empowers rural states more by giving them the electoral votes.
Do you believe that
This is going to be an interesting discussion, man. This is going to be good. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. She brought up the Electoral College being affirmative action practically for Republican places. I have my own thoughts on that. I really do. But I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let Vivek and Charlie Kirk say something at the end. I'll give mine.
the Senate is unjust?
I believe the Senate needs to exist.
Okay, so because that's the whole principle, is that we don't just live in a direct democracy, we live in a constitutional republic. And that means a few things. First is it means that we are really a union of states. We're not just a random assemblage of geographic landmasses called states that we call a union. That means something where part of it is direct representative democracy, but part of it is also making sure that states actually have a relative say in the process. That's how you get the Senate versus the House to balance it out.
That was a great way to answer her question. Her response was she believes the Electoral College is practically affirmative action for Republican places because, as you know, she brought up the example of Hillary Clinton winning the popular vote. But let's move away from that. If you were to look at our largest cities and our largest even states, population-wise, majority do vote Democrat. Let's look at California. And you look at Los Angeles and California. You look at New York City, the major cities in the country, Washington D.C., except Texas. People, you guys in Texas, you guys are different, and down south is a little different. And she said, "Oh yeah, that's affirmative action. If it wasn't for the Electoral College, there would never be another Republican president again." My problem is this. America itself is not a democracy. It's a republic, meaning we follow the Constitution. We follow the rules within the Constitution, and there's a group of people, and we all collectively make the rules and follow these rules. A democracy means that we go by public hearing or we go by public vote necessarily. We do vote in America as public, but that's not what we are. And people sometimes forget that when they see, oh, majority of us want this. The reason why America is not a democracy is because if America was a democracy to its full definition, our rules wouldn't be as concrete. The world we live in, the country we live in, wouldn't have concrete, because if people decide tomorrow that they want to change something, it will change. Everything will be extremely drastic. But I'm not going to continue. Let's get back to it.
Same thing with respect to the history of the Electoral College. This is about making sure that we're being thoughtful about the step of who's actually the U.S. president while channeling the democratic will through the manner enshrined in our Constitution. And here's the biggest difference between a republic and a democracy. This is relevant to a lot of young people. Is in a constitutional republic, it's not just about what you get. Right? In a democracy, you get a vote. You think about what does it mean to be a citizen, about what you get. In a constitutional republic, it's also about what you give. It's about your civic duty to your country. And I think that part of what our founding fathers envisioned is we had voters who actually knew something about their country. You know, every legal immigrant who comes to this country has to pass a civics test before they can vote. Well, frankly, the sad truth is most voters would fail that if they took it today. That would make our founding fathers roll over in their graves. And so I think that we got to get beyond this idea that we're some kind of direct democracy. We're actually a republic where people have responsibilities and states actually have some level of distributed say to make sure that two cities in New York and California don't govern who actually leads the entire United States of America.
And I will push back. Look at the current battleground states. The blackest state in the country is getting a lot of attention because of the Electoral College, Georgia. One of the most black states in the country, North Carolina, is getting a lot of attention.
Atlanta is one of the biggest metro areas in the country. It would get attention whether or not they had the 16 Electoral College votes.
But
the Republican Party has a cushion. They have states like Wyoming that nobody lives in.
Let's be
it's
consistent.
3 electoral votes.
First of all, 700,000 Americans live there, so let's not talk down to our fellow citizens.
Okay, but why does their vote, right? Why does their vote go farther than mine, who's from Texas?
Hold on a second. Rhode Island and Hawaii are small, and that helps Democrats, right?
Yeah, I think that's bad too.
Okay, got it. But it doesn't just help Republicans. What it does is it requires candidates, as Vivek aptly put it, to have a preference on states. We are not a national project first and foremost. We are a collection of sovereign states that come together as a national project.
Is the title of our country, the fundamental title is called the United States of America. Meaning we are a body of states. Here in America, I'll take it a step further. State identity is so crucial to American culture that we can sometimes tell where people are. We can sometimes tell where people are from or hear what state they're from and automatically draw conclusions about them. That's how important states are. It's like a state is like a little country in a way. Like you're from Texas. I already know what Texas citizens look like in my head. I might be wrong. You're from Wisconsin. You're from Wyoming. You're from New York. You're from Alabama. You're from Maryland. You're from Virginia. It's like every state kind of has its own subculture. That's what we are. We're a group of United States, and we come together to vote. It's pretty cool if I think about it.
And the founders wanted a decentralized way of doing elections. And I think it's actually a really good thing that this state, which is incredibly diverse, very difficult to be able to win, will determine the entire election. I think Pennsylvania is a great picture of the country, and you guys get a lot of attention because of it. Now you say in Texas, well, in Texas it actually might become a battleground state one day. The thing about the Electoral College is that certain battleground states rise and certain fall. Ohio used to be a battleground state, now Arizona's a battleground state. Georgia never used to be a battleground state, now it is. Florida used to be. And so what the Electoral College does is it forces candidates to go into places outside of the coastal corridor and win over voters of the people that actually make the country work, such as Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Michigan.
It doesn't answer the question, though, why somebody's vote in somewhere like Wyoming, which has 3 votes for 70,000 people, versus Texas's 700,000 versus Texas's 38 for 30 million. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's
to me.
actually proportional, though, because
no,
it is proportional. Because, okay, then would you get rid of Wyoming as statehood? To be consistent, should Wyoming exist as a state?
Absolutely.
Well, then,
but their vote should be the same as mine.
So I got a solution to this. And it's
abolish the Electoral College.
Well, it's not the one that I made. It's the solution that our founding fathers made, which is that if we don't like that, the United States of America, we got a way to change it.
Yeah.
It's a constitutional amendment. So
you agree with me?
I don't agree with you because
No,
I wouldn't
of
vote
course
for it.
not.
But if your view is that this is anti-democratic,
I love my
there's a way
country,
to
I
change it.
agree.
Where if 3/4 of people in this country wanted to change it, that would change in an instant. And so there's a mechanism to go through it. So just like the gentleman earlier who was founding a movement, there could be a movement that says we want a constitutional amendment to
There is
abolish the
one.
Electoral College, but they haven't managed to convince enough people in this country that it's worth it. And the reason why is there was actually a justification for it. Turns out that most people, when they think about it, actually do land where Charlie and I do on a popular vote basis across the country. That wouldn't be a weighted vote, by the way. So you're talking about actually overturning it through the constitutional amendment, then Wyoming doesn't actually get more votes. You're talking about just 3/4 of the overall states and 3/4 of the vote in Congress, which is proportional representation. So there's a way to fix it that our founding fathers, these guys were geniuses. They had built that into the system.
I agree. I love my country. I'm a patriot.
And if you convince your citizens, then maybe that will be true 50 years
But
from
we
now.
don't
But it's never
believe
happened.
that majoritarian ways of doing elections is the best way. We think
Why
that,
not?
Well, because we're not an up or down majoritarian democracy. We're a decentralized country of states first. And I'll keep on saying that sovereign states matter. That's what makes us different than France and Germany and Belgium and the United Kingdom, is that we're a bottom-up form of government, not a top-down form of
Germany
government.
also has strong state governments.
Not as much, actually. During COVID, when edicts were done in Germany, it was straight from the centralized government. No, it's like they did not have provinces. Like Bavaria did not have a different COVID policy than, Berlin. They didn't have, in America, COVID was a great example of why we have decentralized states. States were able to make different decisions. California lost their mind.
I don't disagree with you on this.
No, of
I
course.
love our country.
No.
What I'm saying is you haven't addressed why somebody in Wyoming should matter more on the
Well, but-
electoral college basis than me in Texas. It makes no sense.
I reject the framing.
One person, one vote.
No, that's not it's never been that way, though. Not in presidential elections.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not. One person, one vote is a majoritarian democracy.
Okay.
Instead, it's the states get appropriated.
But you haven't told me why that's better. You've told me that it is the way it is.
I'm attempting to. As I said, we're a bottom-up government, not a top-down government. It decentralizes power. It also requires leaders, as I've said, to hear the needs, wants, and concerns. We're not going to agree here, and that's fine. But
So I'll give you an image. Unfortunately, I can't show you the image like right now, but you can look it up. All right. Somebody made this image of what the electoral map could look like if the Electoral College was abolished. You would have two blue dots, one around New York and one around the west coast of California. The entire rest of the map of the United States of America.
I'm from
between
Texas. I can assure
would be
you there
red.
would be several blue dots there.
But I'm saying that in theory you could have an election where it would just be those two blue blots and the rest of the entire map is red, and you would still have an outcome where you would have a blue president of the United States.
Yes.
And it could be in reverse
Land doesn't
too.
vote.
And so the answer is that would feel unjust for a lot of those other states that deserve to actually be respected as states in the union. We have the Senate and the House for the same reason that we have the Electoral College. We need to balance the way in which those sovereign states are still a part of the union. I know you may.
I understand what she's saying. She's basically implying that people in Wyoming have a stronger voting power than her as a Texan, because in Texas, I'm assuming, I don't have to assume. There's more people, so if you were to break it down statistically, on average, her vote would be maybe less important as someone who lives in Wyoming who has a lower population. If we were to go by her rule and say, okay, it's just popular majority now, it doesn't matter what state you live in, the entire election will be chosen by around two to three cities. And that kind of defeats the purpose of having a United States. The reason we have a United States is because the founding fathers, I guess, didn't want the election to be chosen by two cities, because at that point, politicians wouldn't care about other states. They would only try to lobby in these two cities. And I was taking it a step further. Not only would they only try to lobby in these two places, they would only try to help these two places financially. They wouldn't. Do you see how it trickles down? If you say, okay, it's just a majority now. Politicians, and this makes sense from them. Why would I go and make Wyoming's school system better? Why would I go replace the pipeline in Utah? Why would I do this? Why would I go to Colorado and try to fix the road system? Why would I give money to Wyoming state government? Do you understand the problem? New York and California would get all the money. They would get all the resources. They would get all the grants. They would get the best schools. They would get everything, because people know that if we decide that it's a majority population, I'm just going to go where the majority is and make their lives as good as possible. And I understand correlation is not causation. I'm not saying this will 100% happen, but is what I'm saying so far off that it won't happen? Let's be honest. Politicians already decide how they're giving money based off what will aid them. So what you're saying just will not make the nation a better place, in my opinion. But anyways, if you enjoy videos like this, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you guys later.